Hey, you. Are you still holding on to your job? How many times have I told you that you should just quit and become a good full-time housewife for my son?
Oh, hello, Helen. Nice to hear from you too. I hope you can understand where I'm coming from when I say this, but I've also told you many times that I'm not interested in quitting my job and being a housewife. I had hoped we were on the same page about this by now. And besides, it's not like Fred minds me working at all, so I really don't see the issues. If I'm being honest, I think this is an issue that should probably just be decided between me and my husband.
What? What are you talking about, Stephanie? You do know that people are calling you selfish for not quitting your job so you can take care of your little girl.
What? But I don't think I'm being selfish at all. What could possibly be selfish about working hard at a job that helps provide for your family?
But have you thought about the effect you working will have on little Rita? She probably feels like her mom is ignoring her and doesn't love her. Just think how this might affect her when she gets older. Whatever ends up happening to her will be all your fault. Are you okay with that?
You think my child is going to grow up to have lots of issues all because her mom had a job? I really am not seeing the connection there, I'm sorry. Everything I do, I am doing for Rita. Her well-being is always at the front of my mind, okay? Besides, I'm still with her throughout the day, you know?
But what you're doing isn't enough for her. Kids are super keen on these kinds of things and can be really sensitive to a lack of attention from parents. You need to be spending a lot more time than you think with your children, you know. I bet your poor little girl is so lonely without having you around the home to take care of her.
I'm sorry, but I just really don't think a lot of what you're saying is necessarily true. Besides, it's not like Rita is ever really left alone at any point in the day. After all, she is about to start going to preschool with lots of other kids. And when she does start preschool, then I'll be taking off work early every day to go and pick her up.
And I'm telling you right now that that is still not enough for her. And your poor little girl is just too much a sweetheart to say anything to you.
Are you sure that that's really what's going on? Anyways, it's fine because Fred is always helping out around the house too. And when I can't be with Rita, he always makes sure to spend lots of quality time with her. She always seems to be having a lot of fun when they're together.
And you think that's a fair burden to put on my poor son? Don't you know how busy he is with his work? He deserves to rest when he's home. But now you tell me that you're too lazy to be a parent to your own daughter, so you make Fred do it? Don't you know that it's the woman's job to raise the kids and manage the home?
I'm really sorry, Helen, but I just don't think we share the same beliefs on that topic. Besides, I think that times have changed, and that mentality is a bit outdated. If a couple can hold jobs together, then they can raise their own children together. After all, it's their child, so isn't it only natural that both parents should have a role in raising them?
Well, here in my family, we still respect traditional values and don't think like that. I don't care what the rest of the world is doing. My family, my rules. Well, then again, I suppose you are just Fred's wife. It's not like we're really even family. But since you've married in, the least you can do is raise your family how I tell you to.
Don't you think you might be overstepping just a little? And don't even get me started on the house. I mean, do you do anything to keep it clean? You just let clothes pile up unwashed, dishes in the sink, dust everywhere. Food left just sitting out. I mean, honestly, do you even try to keep your house clean?
I thought you might try and bring up the state of the house. Last time you came over, you did so without any kind of message or heads up. Then you barged in and started inspecting every nook and cranny for things to nitpick. Anyways, that really wasn't appreciated, so please don't do that again. What could have possibly upset you over my visit? Maybe if you actually kept your home in order, then you wouldn't be upset when guests come over. I didn't tell you I was coming over because I wanted to make a point. And I had to be thorough while I was looking around. Who knows where you might have tried to hide your clutter from me?
I wasn't hiding things, and even if I was, it's my house, and I think I have that right if I want.
Oh, is that what you think, dear? You just didn't want me finding out what a messy person you are. I never wanted you to marry my precious little boy. He deserves a wife that can actually take care of the house like she's supposed to.
Actually, Fred and I do a really good job of splitting the chores. And it is true that sometimes when both of us get a little too busy, the housework doesn't get done. But we've never once let it get to the point where it's become a serious issue. We always make sure the house is clean enough that there's never any danger to our health or anything like that.
Well, I still don't think it's good enough. I can't stand going over to your filthy house. And I just know my little Freddie feels the same way. After all, I raised him and always made sure the house was spotless as he grew up.
I really don't think you have to worry about that, Helen. Fred and I talk regularly, and he doesn't seem to have any complaints about the way we live.
Oh, my poor sweet little boy. He must try so hard every day to control himself around you. I just wish he would divorce you already.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get a little fed up with this conversation. I would appreciate if you chose your next words very carefully.
I'm just so worried about my little boy. He works so hard at his job every day and even makes sure to send a little money back home to me. I've heard that you don't send money back to your parents. Is that true? It's never a bad time to stop being a bad daughter.
Actually, I don't send money home to my parents because they really don't need the assistance. Besides, they both still work full-time and haven't reached retirement age yet. I know that you were able to be a stay-at-home the entirety of Fred's childhood. But ever since your husband died, you've needed Fred to send money to help you get by.
And I'm just ever so grateful to my sweet, sweet son. I did such an amazing job raising him to be the way he is now. Of course, he isn't perfect and has made some wrong decisions in his life too, not so small, that is. Oh, I should have been there to guide him towards a better path.
I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Anyways, it is our house, not yours, so we will continue to do things our way. Please hold back from giving any more comments or criticism about how you think my house is run. Thank you.
Excuse me. Just who do you think you're talking to, young lady? If this is how you really act, then I truly do feel so sorry for my poor little boy and my granddaughter.
Anyways, I'm quite busy, so I am going to go now.
Hello, sweetheart. Did you happen to have a conversation with my mom earlier today? My mom sent me a message, mostly filled with her complaints.
Yes, we did talk. She asked me, once again, if I was certain about not being a stay-at-home mom. She mentioned how lonely she thinks Rita must be and how she believes the house is dirty. Just the usual complaints, you know?
Ah, I understand. I'm truly sorry you have to deal with her in that way. I've told her countless times that we happily share the work and manage the household together, but she is so set in her old ways and keeps insisting that those tasks should be handled by the wife. And then she solely blames you when the chores aren't done or the house is a bit messy. I've tried explaining the reality to her so many times, but she doesn't seem willing to listen to what I have to say.
No. I get it. It's really fine. Your mom is the kind of person who tries to impose her will on others at times. I mean, that's what I gather from your stories as well. Honestly, I feel sorry for you too sometimes. You're also a victim in all of this.
Yeah, maybe just a little. I'm just sorry that all of her anger is always directed at you, though. I really wish there was something I could do or say to my mom to make her stop all of this. Lately, I haven't even been trying to tell her the truth because it's becoming too much. I apologize for not doing more to put an end to all of this.
Fred, I said it's okay, and I meant it. I know you have a lot on your plate and that you're doing your best. Your hard work is paying off too. Just look at how well you did on that test last week. You're pursuing certifications and getting closer to your dream job with every step.
Stephanie. That's so sweet of you. Thank you so much. But I couldn't have achieved any of these things without you by my side, always willing to help. And I know I haven't made things easy for you with all of this. But I promise I'll have some good news soon. All I ask is for you to hold on a little bit longer, okay?
Of course, baby. You know I'll always be cheering you on.
We're going to that barbecue restaurant for a family dinner. We're going to have so much delicious food. Except for you. You're only allowed to eat from the salad bar.
Excuse me? What do you mean I can only eat from the salad bar?
Well, you're not family, and this is a family dinner. That's why I'm saying that you can't order anything off the menu. Only the salad bar. Perhaps you can enjoy the enticing aromas instead.
What are you even talking about? Don't you think this is a bit unfair?
And here she goes again, the difficult wife always arguing with her mother-in-law and never following instructions. I really can't tolerate you, you know that? Why don't you just go home?
Okay then. Maybe I will.
Good, then leave.
That's what I'm doing. Have a pleasant dinner.
Hey, you wicked witch, what did you say to Fred? He is really angry with me now. Did you know even your own daughter said that she hates Grandma now? What kind of malicious lies did you tell my family?
Wow, did Rita really say that to you? I guess I've been raising my kid to be a lot stronger than I thought. Honestly, it's touching to hear that.
Tell me what you told them. Tell me what you said that made my son and granddaughter so furious with me. I got so upset I had to run to the bathroom. Fred even told me that I have to change the way I talk to you. Ha! Can you believe that?
I would certainly hope that's the least he said to you, Helen. I've been angry all day because of the nonsense you were spouting at me earlier. So I talked to Fred and told him all the terrible things that you said to me. He seemed really upset with you after I finished telling him everything.
You evil harpy! What lies did you fill my poor little boy's head with? What did you do to my sweet precious Freddie?
It was around the time that I was heading towards the restaurant where I thought we would all be eating together. Then, suddenly, I received all those nasty messages from you that made me decide not to show up. Well, I explained what had happened to Fred and that I was too upset and had to go home. And I guess that was just about the time that Fred and Rita arrived to meet you at the restaurant.
So that's why it was only those two who were there when I arrived? And what is this nonsense I hear about my son not working right now? Are you telling me that my son and grandchild have been living off what you've been earning? That can't be true. I don't believe it.
Wow, so Fred finally told you what he's been up to, huh? Well, that was unexpected if I'm being honest. He told me he would wait until he achieved his goal before finally telling you everything.
What are you talking about? Just be honest with me right now, or else. What are you going on about, Fred's goal? You better tell me.
So I guess the conversation didn't get very far then, huh? Did you know that Fred has always wanted to be a designer? I'm sure you must have known that about your precious little boy, right?
He what? What are you even saying right now? You're telling me that's what Fred is studying right now? Design?
That's right. He went back to school to pursue his passion for design. And that's why I've been working extra hard to provide for our entire family.
This has to be some kind of joke, right? I thought I made sure those silly dreams of his were put to rest when he was little.
Well, for a long time, they really were. Do you see? You got in the way of your son pursuing what he truly wanted to do. Now I'm working hard to give him a chance to achieve those dreams you made him give up. He's always been such an obedient son, doing whatever you told him to do. Well, I won't do the same. Instead, I'll support him completely as he finds his own path.
You foolish cow. Are you trying to ruin my son's future?
Oh, Helen. Isn't that the exact question I should be asking you? Always making Fred do things he didn't want to do. Forcing him to apply for companies that you chose for him. It didn't matter as long as your expectations were met, right?
But I had to. Because of that, he had a comfortable salary and a good job with an amazing company. But you made him leave all that behind just so he could chase some childish dream of his. Don't you realize that this will ruin him?
Let me provide you with some insight into his job, Helen. Not only did he not choose it for himself and never wanted to do it, but he would come home late every day after working overtime, appearing constantly depressed. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing for Fred is because I want him to have a more enjoyable life. I want to support him in the same way my parents supported me when I started my own business.
But you need to face reality. We live in the real world. And let me tell you something, young lady. The real world doesn't care about your dreams. What if Fred fails? What will you do then?
If that happens, we will deal with it when the time comes. Regardless of what happens, I will always work hard to provide for my family. Because that's what a good husband and wife do. We are there for each other.
Well, that's all fine and good for both of you, but what about Rita? Aren't you neglecting her by working so much? I mean, just look at the state of your house. It's not a suitable environment to raise an infant child.
Actually, since I'm working as much as I am, Fred has taken on all the housework. Of course, I assist him whenever I can, as his main focus right now is taking care of Rita.
What kind of twisted family dynamic is that? You make your husband handle the housework. That's completely unnatural.
In life, there's work and housework. Since I'm handling the work, Fred is in charge of the housework. But if you think about it, it's the opposite of how things used to be in your time.
And that's precisely why it's unacceptable. I simply won't allow it to happen.
I don't really care about your opinion. Rita is always so supportive of how hard her dad works. And when she grows up with her own dreams and aspirations, Fred and I will be there to support her in whatever she wants to do. She will also learn from her dad what it means to pursue and achieve dreams. After all, it's your way of raising him that made Fred so miserable for a long time.
What did you just say to me?
That's why he is against raising Rita the way you raised him. Do you understand what I'm trying to convey? We will raise our kids our own way, ensuring they are raised according to our wishes.
You think you can raise children without grandparents? You'll regret this.
No, Helen. I think the one who will regret the outcome will be you. I want you to know that the allowance you believed Fred was sending you all this time actually came from my own earnings. But your own son has decided it's time to cut you off. Starting today, you won't receive any more checks in the mail.
Wait, what? How am I supposed to live? How will I buy food? I've never had to work before. I've been a stay-at-home mom my whole life.
And this is the consequence of believing that was the best choice for yourself. Perhaps you should have had a backup plan in case things turned out this way. I have achieved what I have in life through my own efforts, which is why I will never be a housewife.
Wait. You can't do this to me. I'm your mother-in-law. I was mistaken, I understand that. You don't have to eat only at the salad bar. Can we meet in person and talk?
There's nothing else I wish to say to you. I hope you lead a life where you can be certain you made your own choices. That's the only way you'll know if your decisions were correct or not. But in my opinion, I believe people who have never worked a day in their lives should gain some understanding of the real world before advising others on how to live. Following that, Helen exited the bathroom stall at the restaurant and made her way back to her table. She remained seated there, receiving a lecture from her son, as I approached. Casting a glance at Helen, I advised her to relish the salad bar before departing with my family. We left Helen there to contemplate her decisions. Helen encountered challenges in securing a part-time job to support her new life without financial assistance from our family. I've heard that she is barely managing to make ends meet. However, it could be considered a fitting consequence for her actions.